So, this, when I was looking for some information, some academically credible material within trying to find these evaluation criteria for social media campaigns, came across this paper.
On Emerald? On Emerald?
On Emerald, yes.
Oh.
Emerald is not allowed, unfortunately. Well, okay. What I'll say to you is, you'll always find a diamond in a shovel load of coal, which Tom Waite said. What I found with this paper, it was a little bit rubbish, to be honest. But I don't want to say that now because I'm on microphone. It was a very good paper, an academically credible paper, but it didn't apply to my specific research because it was viral marketing campaigns. How do you measure these things? Okay, so this study, when he looked into it with Danilo Cruz, who currently he's a brand manager for Honda now, I think. But Chris Phil, he's University of Portsmouth. Yeah, that was it. What he did was he spoke to a few people, and he got this roundtable discussion with viral marketeers, people who've done viral marketing campaigns in different agencies. And he said, right, what do you think is the key criteria for evaluating your viral marketing campaign? And he said, right, according to the literature, it's going to be this, 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 and this. Reach, communication, interactivity, click-through rate. And do you know what he found? He completely missed the boat. He actually forgot about some key things. Penetration, the shock level of a viral. Does that viral shock you? Right? That's a key aspect of the viral. PR, he missed that completely. Financial, how much money did it make? How many products did it actually sell? These things, you completely missed out on it because it wasn't in the literature. So thus, you get that problem. Academically credible material doesn't have all the answers for you, but you can take these frameworks and adapt them. And that's what I want from you next, okay? I looked at Phil's paper and I read it through and through, back and over again, critiqued it, as you do when you're writing your dissertations. Felt a bit wary of it because he's a top guy in the area and I didn't want to say too bad, but again, this is academically peer-reviewed journal. Somebody else hopped on the bandwagon and did exactly what I wanted to do. And I thought, oh right, that's it. I'm out, that's it, I'm done. This guy's already done my PhD. He's already studied it and he's got it done. That's it. Close the book, go home. Do you think he did? No. I'm still here, aren't I? Right, this wonderful piece of literature was written by a certain Chris Murdoch. Does anybody know him? I think it's the University of New Jersey. Anyway, this guy got a master's a few years ago, and a master's in statistics. And he set up a company which does evaluation. And he said, right, I'm an academic, I'll write this. And then he stuck it up. It's a treat. Please do read it. What I'll say to you again about that diamond and the shovel full of load of coal, with this, it was a clear and blatant attempt for him to push his own company and push his own brand through a piece of academic material. Now this is from, you can't see it there, but this is from the Journal of Interactive Advertising. Do you remember what the rating was of that?
None.
None. Okay. So he managed to shoehorn a piece of academic literature, a piece of academic research, into a journal, which meant absolute bupkis, and he got this thing printed. Therefore, he's an expert. He's a social media guru in the academic field. Turns out he wasn't. But again, don't stop there. There's something within it. And what I found was this. This really got my heart rate going, because I was talking about evaluation of social media campaigns with my PhD supervisor, with other people, and I was saying, right, how am I going to do this? And they said, look, what you're going to have to do is look at how we did it before, see if that applies today. Okay, yeah, I'll look at the old school stuff, see if that applies today. I'll look at the old school models, see if they apply today. Brilliant. And what I started to think was this idea that, right, underneath every social media campaign, there has to be a couple of pillars. Can you imagine the front of the Parthenon, okay, that holds up that social media campaign? There's got to be some pillars there. And all of a sudden, I saw this in this paper and I thought, brilliant, absolutely fantastic. It's done, right, okay, he's done it. Turns out, he's completely missed the boat with a few things as well. Now, what I want from you, because Evangelos has told me that you are all very bright, intelligent, enthusiastic, and well-informed students. So first of all, our pillar, I want from you to tell me what's missing. So first of all, our number one pillar is reach. So how are we going to measure reach? So he talks about the quantity, he talks about the quality. Right? Another pillar is discussion. And he talks about about the discussion of the topics and the sentiment within those discussions. He also talks about the outcomes, which is site traffic and purchase interest. Is that it?
When he says purchase interest, he refers on actually purchasing something or just the interest?
He doesn't refer to purchasing the product. He refers to, I would be interested in purchasing this product.
Well, maybe he missed that. Yeah.
So maybe he missed, okay, actual purchasing the product. That's one. Anybody else? What you're doing is identifying KPIs here, folks. Okay.
Relevancy of the discussion.
Relevancy of the discussion. Relevancy. Well, I think he's talking about sentiment, is leaning towards it.
And how he did that? How? How can you measure sentiment and be very precise and clear? How can you do that? Good.
Okay, so now we encounter a problem. There's a semantic element to social media which becomes quite problematic. How do you measure that conversation? How do you give that a vote of yes, it was really good, or no, that was really bad? Okay? It's very difficult to do that unless you've got a human reading that. There's no algorithm that can read human nuances. I mean, God, Americans and I speak a different language. You know, how can you measure across that? You know, it's quite difficult. There's a semantic element to it. So yeah, in depth in the conversation. It's very hard to measure that sentiment. But we've got reach, discussion, and outcome. What are we missing? Cast your mind back to the start. Why social media? You've forgotten the two answers that you gave me. Okay, anybody else? What's missing?
How did he measure quality?
He didn't measure anything. What he did was he suggested this is how my company does it.
So how can you measure the quality of the reach? With what? With discussion? And
quality of the reach will refer to your analytics. Okay, you've done your social media campaign. 1,000 people viewed this page. Where did these 1,000 people come from? Well, they came from the local catchment area. They came from, for some reason, it's always Argentina and India. These are and Malaysia as well. These are the ones that keep coming into my analytics. And you go, why are these people viewing this site, which is specific for Manchester students? It just happens, and spammers and spiders will pick it up, okay? But you can measure that. There is a measure of the quality of that traffic. But I'm asking you, from a social media campaign point of view, what are the key factors that you should be measuring?
They keep coming again.
Longevity, I agree. I think that's quite a good variable. So what's missing? Come on. I know it's the end of the day, I shouldn't really be asking you this. Okay, what about you do a campaign? How long do you want it to last?
Depends on what the campaign is for.
Bottle of water.
Where do you want to go with it?
Based on your objectives.
Okay, clarify the objectives to see how long you... Do you want a campaign run for 6 months and close down?
No.
Do you want it to last forever?
No.
Possibly. Define forever.
Yeah. As long as possible. As long as possible, right. So there's an element, which I'd argue, an element of legacy. And I think the legacy is not necessarily just a chronological element, I think it's also got to do with a semantic element. Are people still talking about you in a positive light 6 months down the line? Do we still think that the Whisper campaign is brilliant 2 years down the line? I think legacy is quite important. I think that's another KPI, another metric that should be in there. Okay, I think the cupboard's gone dry on that one, so we'll move on, shall we? Think about that. Is there anything missing there? You may have a think, it may come to you in a week's time, but what you'll do is you'll build your own evaluation framework, okay? Now, I started using this expression last year, flotilla of variables. Now, I do apologize for the text, you probably cannot make that out. Don't worry, it'll be on the Mendeley page. I've started using this expression of flotilla of variables because I think these variables, they will support your social media campaign and effectively keep you afloat. But the problem is, as you'd imagine from a flotilla, there's bloody loads of them. So there are hundreds of different KPIs, hundreds of different measurement techniques, measurement concepts that you need to think about. And the main ones, these are collated, by the way, from 3 different authors, which I'll leave on the Mendeley page. Interaction measures, transparency measures. How transparent is your brand? How receptive to feedback are you? Somebody said your brand is absolute rubbish. How did you deal with it? I'm going to go through an example in a bit, which is quite interesting. Okay, but that's your transparency. How transparent is your brand, your social media presence? Are you blatantly done by an agency, or are you a good, involved social media brand? Okay, so there's quite a lot in there, and these are what you've got to grapple with for the exercise.
I think you can fake transparency.
You can fake transparency
Yeah.
with an invisible cloak.
No, no, no. I mean, you can seem like you're a trusted brand, but actually you're not. So.
Well, I think that's a good question, but I think that's a discussion for a later day. I think that's something that will. It's quite a lot. Okay. Good point.